Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are unpacking the actual mechanics of wealth by exploring why the rich absolutely never leave their money just sitting around in the bank. We're going to look closely at two wildly different approaches to financial management, and we'll explore why the conventional wisdom of simply saving your pennies might actually be the exact thing holding you back. If you've ever found yourself wondering why some people just seem to effortlessly build their net worth while others struggle despite saving incredibly diligently, well, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Okay, let's anchor our attention right here on the starting amount, $10,000. I want you to meet Michael and Sarah. Both of them begin their financial journeys at the exact same starting line, with this exact same chunk of capital. No secret trust funds, no weird advantages. It is a completely even playing field. They both have 10 grand in hand.
But fast forward 10 years, and man, the contrast is absolutely stark. Despite starting with that same $10,000, one of them is still living paycheck to paycheck, while the other, they've built real sustainable wealth. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? How can two people start in the exact same place and end up at such radically opposite extremes just a decade later?
So, this brings us to the really powerful question we need to ask ourselves. What actually made the difference? I mean, it wasn't a sudden lottery win or a surprise inheritance. The massive, undeniable gap between these two came down entirely to their foundational philosophy on money. Okay, let's dive into Section 1, Michael's idle capital. So Michael represents a highly risk-averse approach. He takes his $10,000, marches down to a traditional bank, and deposits it into a standard account. He's thinking, my money is safe here, I'll just leave it. And honestly, it feels as secure as stuffing it under a digital mattress. But the wild irony here is that this intense desire for absolute safety is precisely what puts his financial future in serious danger. Here's the thing. If all your money sits entirely idle in a low-interest account for years on end, you are engaging in a passive strategy that carries a massive hidden consequence. While Michael is sleeping soundly, fully believing his capital is perfectly protected behind thick vault doors, he is completely missing the invisible force that is quietly working against him 24/7. Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds, the purchasing power problem. To really understand why Michael's strategy failed so completely, we have to look at the silent force targeting his idle money, the loss of purchasing power. When your capital just sits in a low-interest account for years, the steady, relentless march of inflation ensures that the true muscle of your static $10,000 continuously weakens. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is seeing how that initial $10,000 value visibly shrinks over a decade. Look, the number on the screen might still technically say 10,000, but because the cost of living continued to climb year after year, that exact same money buys significantly less. Rising costs act like a silent thief. Michael didn't lose his money to a bad stock pick, right? He lost his purchasing power to the slow, steady rise of everyday prices. All right, let's pivot to Section 3, Sarah's strategic investing.
If Michael is the poster child for the pitfalls of idle capital, Sarah represents a totally different philosophy. We can directly juxtapose these two mentalities, passive cash accumulation versus strategic investing. Sarah actively avoids letting all her wealth just sit there gathering dust. Instead, she proactively searches for ways to make her capital actually work for her. And this brilliantly illustrates Sarah's two-pronged methodology. She isn't reckless at all. In step 1, she totally keeps a safety net of cash in the bank, specifically for an emergency fund. But here is the crucial difference. Step 2. She creates a long-term investment plan for the rest of it. She instantly pivots from baseline security to aggressively seeking out growth opportunities. Let's bring it all together in Section 4, building long-term prosperity. Let's summarize the foundational rules you need to secure your own financial future. First up, absolutely avoid leaving all your capital idle. Second, maintain a modest emergency fund so you have that liquidity when life happens. Third, actively seek growth opportunities so you can outpace rising prices. And finally, strategically invest that remaining wealth. Building long-term prosperity, it requires a balanced, highly active approach. So the crucial point is really this. Building long-term prosperity requires putting money to work. Strategic action beats passive accumulation. Every single time. Sarah built real wealth because she fundamentally understood that her money wasn't just a cozy safety blanket. It was a tool, and it needed to be assigned a job in the economy in order to actually grow. As we wrap up this explainer today, I really want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Think about your own financial management right now.
Is your money actively working for you, seeking out growth opportunities and building your long-term prosperity? Or, kind of like Michael, is it just sitting safely in the dark, slowly losing its purchasing power while the price of everything rises around you? It's a critical question, and how you answer it today might just literally determine where you end up 10 years from now. Thanks for joining me to explore these concepts, and remember to keep seeking out those growth opportunities.